13 different ways you can cut your movie to change the experience. Match cuts are used for seamless transitions between two scenes that correlate but are not similar. They usually involve circles, but it can be a similar motion or setting. They match each other and mirror actions. This technique is a commonly used technique to show the passage of time. It is a soft way of blending two scenes together. A lot of the time, it is the same setting, showing a gradual transition of time as a whole. Fade in and out are a common way to start a film. Fading in is a technique used in film editing to ease viewers into new imagery, rather than using sudden cuts from scene to scene. Unlike the fade in, the fade out can be done in lots of different ways, depending upon what effect you are wanting to achieve, such as fade to black, which to the audience it can symbolize completion, meaning a narrative thought is finished. It is a good way in which to end the film as well, because it shows the end. Or, if the fade to black was sudden, it could be interpreted as a meaning of death. Whereas a fade to white, although not commonly used, does the exact opposite and can be seen as the journey not being quite over. Although it can also show death, like a fade to white, as in the Black Swan with Natalie Portman's character is seen lying as the white swan, closing her eyes and fading to white. The white gives the audience the interpretation of ascent to heaven. Cutting on action is a great way to build suspense in a film. Usually when cutting on action, it is moving from one angle to another, usually a side-on to a face-on whilst in motion. It's used commonly in fight scenes or falling motions and speeds up the action of the characters. A cutaway is used to give context to a scene, which can include sounds that are heard or objects of importance, as seen in the James Bond Spectre train fight. When James is on the train, it cuts to a reflection in the cocktail shaker, which then cuts back to him initiating a fight with them. Crosscuts are used to show two characters that link, such as on the phone. This can create suspense between the two characters, such as in John Wick, where he's confronted with the Russian mafia on the phone, asking to not hunt his son down. John Wick is silent throughout. This shows John Wick's character, but it also creates suspense in that scene for what could happen next. This technique is similar to dissolve, in that it shows the passing of time, but it is more for short time frames and it is quick and snappy. My example shows the passing of a day, whereas the dissolve sample shows the passing of a year. The smash cut technique is used to give a quick change of scene, usually going from no action to high speed action, or an action that is rapid in movement when the viewer is not expecting it. It's often a punching or slapping motion, which helps with editing because you can use that sound to show the change in scene. Montages are used to condense space or time into short, snappy scenes to show a walkthrough of actions to come in the future. As shown in Knives Out, where Harland is talking to the main female character through how to get away with his murder. Whereas in Rocky, it is a sequence of his journey to get to the top of the steps. J and L cuts. These techniques relate to sound carried through a scene. The difference being, an L cut, you see the sound and it carries over to the next shot, whereas a J cut, you see a scene but hear the noise, and it then cuts to the location of the sound.
Well, there's one thing that you won't like, Private Snowball. They don't serve fried chicken and watermelon on a daily basis in my mess hall. Yes, sir!
Move on! Full throttle! Don't have to take this abuse much longer.
The wipe technique is a commonly used cut in older movies such as Star Wars: A New Hope. When the wipe technique comes to mind, Star Wars is the #1 film that uses it. It is something that gets overlooked, but it adds a lot of character to the movies. Horizontal and vertical wipes can show a distance in place or time and can also show a distance travelled. A shape wipe such as circles and curtains are a stylistic choice, but not commonly used. This technique can be used with others like fade to black to move on to other scenes. Invisible cuts. This technique is very commonly used to enhance the film by making it seem like one shot is longer than it is. Commonly, this is done by panning down to a dark object or moving into something that doesn't move. It tends to link two similar scenes together into one. The transition is smooth and nearly unnoticeable to the naked eye if done well. This is used to great effect in Star Wars, like the famous opening scene, where the text sets the narrative. Text is widely used for a lot of different reasons, such as showing texting or even just to show the location of the next scene.